Hi students, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to do some elementary mathematics. The questions we'll be doing are from exercise 4.1. The topics we'll be doing is coordinate geometry. And in this coordinate geometry, we're just going to focus on finding length of a line segment. Right, let's look at question 1. Question 1 is to find the length of a line segment joining 2 points. The 2 points given are point A and point B. So first thing first, let's label this point as x1, y1, point B as x2, y2. And let's also write down the formula to calculate the distance AB. And we're going to substitute in the values for x2, x1 and y2, y1. And the next thing is you can just use a calculator to evaluate the answer. Because the degree of accuracy is not given in these questions, usually we just approximate it to 3 significant figures. And you should get 8.06 units. Now, I have a video that I've done earlier to explain how we derive at this formula to find the distance of a line segment joining any 2 points. So you can just click at the link above to access the video. Right, let's look at question 2. For question 2, you're asked to find the possible values of P. So what is the information that's given to you? Let's highlight the information that's given to you. You're given to the distance between 2 points, point A and point B, it's 10 units. Now, so if you see this word distance, it means that you have to use the formula to find length. So to find the distance, actually it's just to find the length of the line segment. Okay, so to find the distance is similar to find the length of the line segment connecting the 2 points. Alright, so once you understand this concept, wait, hang on. I think this is not written legibly. Yeah, so once you understand this concept, then you know that we have to use the formula to find length. Alright, so the first thing first is that I always advise my students to label the point. It may seem to be a very easy questions, but sometimes we do make mistake, because sometimes when you're nervous or in the exam where there is pressure for time accuracy, you may not think what do you call that as accurately as when you are working not under pressure. So it's good to label the points, and then let's write down the formula to find the length of AB. Right, and that will give us p squared plus another p squared, and that gives you square root 2p squared. Alright, so we are given that this value is equals to 10 units, right? So how do we get rid of the square root? So if you were to recall that we have learned in the chapter on surds, right, square root a times square root a, that will give you just a, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to square both sides. So basically what we are saying is that I'm going to perform this operation here. I'm just going to multiply. Okay, wait, this is equal to bracket square root a, right? And that gives you a, right? Because this will give you square root a squared, and that just gives you a. Okay, so we're just going to square both sides, because you have to do it on both sides. You can't just perform the operation on one side. To balance the equation, you have to perform the same operations on both sides, right? So what you're left is just 2p squared, and on the right hand side you will get 100. So we're going to divide by 2, gives you 50, and you're going to square root of 50. Right, you can have a positive value or negative value. Is because the power here we're talking about, it's an even number, right? So you can have a positive times positive give you a positive, or negative times negative also give you a positive value. So this will give us, express the 3 significant figure, because you're not told how many degree of accuracy to use. So usually if you're not told in the questions, then you just put your answer to 3 significant figure, which turn out to be 7.07 units. Alright, so this is how we do question 2. Alright, let's look at question 3. So question 3, you're given 2 points, point P and Q. The coordinates of point P and Q are so and so respectively. So what does this word respectively means? It means that the coordinates of P, right, it's the coordinates of P are negative 2, 6, because negative 2, 6 come first. So P corresponds to the one that comes first, and then Q will correspond to the one that comes next. So this is what it means by respectively. Alright, so we asked to find the coordinates of a point R. So there's another point called R, and this point R lies on the y-axis. Okay, such as the distance between blah 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 is equals to blah blah blah. Okay, so the key word here is, what are the what are the characteristic of points that lies on the x and the y-axis? Right, so to examine that, let's draw our x and y-axis. Alright, so on the x-axis, points that lies on the x-axis, right? Y coordinates is always 0. Okay, and points that lies on the y-axis will have x coordinate 0. Okay, so this is something that you have to bear in mind. Right, so we are told of this particular point R, and we don't know what is it. So we can just let this point R, since it lies on the y-axis, so the x coordinate is 0, you can let the y coordinate be the letter B, letter A, or any letters of your preference. And then we have the point that it's which point is that? Q. Okay, no, P first. Okay, P. Right. So we need to find the length of the line segment that connects these 2 points R and P. Okay, so like what I've usually done, I would like to label the point as x1, y1, x2, y2. Right, and then I'm going to find the distance PR. Okay, because the formula will not be given to you in the formula sheet, so it's good to write down the formula a few times so that you can remember it. Some of you will be asking, is it okay if I use, instead of using x2 minus x1, it's alright that I use x1 minus x2 squared? Yes, the value that you get for x2 minus x1 squared will be the same as x1 minus x2 squared. But if you're going to use x1 first, then bear in mind that you have to use y1 first also. It must correspond now. So x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to do the substitution. So the value for x2 will be negative 2. The value for x1 is 0, square root. y2 is b minus, wait, what did I do wrongly? It's 6, it's not, oh my god. So this is what I mean by you have to write it properly. This is 6, okay, not b. So y2 is 6, then minus b squared. Alright, so we can simplify the items inside the radical sign, and that will give us 4. And I'm just going to leave it as it is. Alright, then the next thing is that I'm going to find the distance for QR. So I have another point Q, which I'm given it to be 9,3. And since I've already labeled point R as x1, y1, I'm just going to label this as x2, y2. Alright, and then I need to find QR. Okay, I've already written down the formula once. I don't think I need to write it again. So that will be 9 minus 0 plus 3 minus b. Okay, be careful, you're finding QR, okay? You're not finding QP, right? So that's why you need to be quite systematic in the way you write out your solution. And that will give us 81 plus bracket 3 minus b squared. All right, so the next thing is that we are told that PR is equals to QR. So basically, we just need to equate both of them. So PR will be square root. Okay, the thing is that I'm writing like some drunk person is because I cannot touch the screen with the stylus pen. It doesn't work. I think something, I don't know why. I hope they can improve the system. So I'm actually writing, like floating like that. All right. So how do you get rid of the radical sign? It basically just square root. Basically, you just square both sides. So when you square both sides, what is left is only the values that's inside the radical sign. And this one here, we can apply the algebraic identity that we have learned earlier. All right, so that will give us 4 plus 6 squared plus b squared equals to right. So you're going to simplify. That will give us 40. 4 plus 36, 40 minus this will give us 12b. That will give us 90 minus 6b plus b squared. Alright, so basically b squared and b squared will be gone because b squared minus b squared is 0. So negative 12b plus 6b will give you negative 6b. 90 minus 40 will give you 50. So b will be negative 8 1/3. So therefore what point are we finding R? So therefore your point R will just be 0, negative 8 1/3. Okay. Alright, there we go. Right, here we're given a diagram and you're given a triangle with all the respective points A, B, C. And part 1, you asked to find the perimeter and the area of triangle ABC. Alright, so to find the perimeter means you basically just have to add up all the 3 sides, right? Let's do the one that's the easiest one, that's AB. Why is AB easier to find? Because basically AB is just a horizontal line and there is actually no need to use the formula. So AB is just basically this distance, which is 4 units, plus this distance here, which is 8 units. Right. So AB is just equals to 12 units. Right. But we have to go on to find AC. So to find AC, you have to use the distance formula. That will be negative 4 minus 2 squared plus bracket y2 negative 2 minus 6. Okay, if you're not too sure about the substitution, please remember to write down the formula. Okay, and then we're just going to simplify it using your calculator. And you have 10 whole number. Alright, and the next thing is I'm going to find BC. Since I've already labeled point C as x1, y1, I'm just going to label point B as x2, y2. Alright, so we're going to do the substitution. So that will be x2 minus x1. So that will be 8 minus 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 6. Wait, hang on. AC, negative 2. Oh, same, okay. So sometimes it's good that if you find that something is fishy, just go back and check your solution again. That gives you 10 also? Oh, alright. So therefore the parameter will just be 10 plus 10, 20, plus another 12. That gives you how many? 20 plus 12, 32 units. Remember to write down the units, which is just units, because you're not given the proper whatever, you know, just units, 32 units. Okay, so that's how you find parameter of triangle ABC. Alright, so the next thing is find the area of triangle ABC. So to find the area of triangle ABC, basically we just have to use half times base times height. So we are already having a horizontal line, that is your AB. So that would be the base that we'll be using. So therefore I need to find your vertical height. The perpendicular height will be this one here. Means use a different color. Alright. So the vertical height would be from here to here, which is 6 units plus 2 gives you 8. And we already found your horizontal distance AB to be 12 units. Okay, so for part 2, it's relatively easy. So area of triangle ABC will just be half multiplied by the distance AB times your perpendicular height, which will be just half times 12 times 8. And that gives you 48 units square. Alright, so that's how you do part 1. Right, so now let's look at part 2. Part 2, hence. Alright, so the key word here is the word hence. So when you see something like that, hence, it means you have to use the answer that you have found in part 1. Right, so there are 2 answers we found in part 1. The area of the triangle ABC and also the perimeter of the triangle ABC. So we will need to use one of them or both of them, depending. Right, so let's look at what we are supposed to find in part 2. So in part 2, we're asked to find the length of the perpendicular distance. I think what they're trying to say is to find the length of the perpendicular distance from A. So basically, you are here at A and then to BC. All right. So it means that you want to find the shortest distance. Perpendicular distance referred to the shortest distance. Alright, the shortest distance. Okay, right. Okay. Right. So to solve part 2, right, I'm just going to give you some recaps. So if you have a triangle, if you're going to use this as a base, then that will be your height, right? So to find the area of triangle ABC, it will be just half times here times height, and you get a certain values that say z unit square. Okay, supposing you don't like to use BC as the base, the same triangle we're talking. You don't like to use BC as the base. You change your mind. I want to use this as my base. Then this will become your perpendicular height, right? Right. So the area now is half times AC times, we need to call it H2 to differentiate from this guy H1. Okay, just now the base that I use is BC, right? And then I would get also the same, because you're talking about the same area, so obviously the value for all this will be the same, right? Because you're talking about the same triangle. Okay, it's just like me, if I weigh myself in Bukit Panjang, if I go to Clementi, supposing the machines are the same, I must make sure the machines are the same, then I will weigh the same, right? Because that's me, right? I don't think I can weigh lighter when I go to Hougang. Or maybe when I go to the moon, I'll be lighter. So I don't have to go on diet. Okay, never mind. Right. So depending on what base that you use. So supposing if you want to use base AB, right, then that will be half times AB times H3, right? So the area will still be the same, Z unit square. Okay, so we're going to use this concept to solve part 2, right? So this is the perpendicular distance I need to find, so I'm going to label it as H, right? So I've already found the length BC earlier on, right? Isn't it? Have I found it? I think so. I found it to be 10 units square. Is it 10 units square or 12? Okay, it should be 10 units square. All right, and then the area I found it to be 32 units square. Okay, so therefore I can just use half times 10 times H to give me 32. And 5H is 32. So H will be just 32 divided by 5. How do I get 5? Just basically half times 10. Half times 10 will be 5. So 5 times H is 5H. So 32 divided by 5, I will get 6.4 units square. And not unit square, sorry, units, because you're basically finding height. Okay, so that's how we do this part 2. Okay, I'm so sorry. I really feel like crying, but I really don't want to redo the whole slide again. You know how much time I spent doing it. So I'm just going to explain here that I used the wrong values to find the area of triangle ABC. Okay, I think my memory is fading. The area of triangle ABC that we found early on is 32. Oh my god, it's 48. 32, it's the perimeter. Okay, so using the same concept, right, what you should be getting is half times BC. Okay, I'm going to use the perpendicular distance, call it H, right, which we call it H earlier on. It's 48. And we found BC to be 10 units. So this 2 will give us 5 times H, 48. So H will be 48 divided by 5, 9.6 units. Ayah. Okay, this should be the correct answer for 5 part 2. Okay. Wow, let's look at question 6. And question 6 has 4 parts. Can you imagine? Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Oh my god. Alright, but not to worry, okay? Not to worry. We just tackle one at a time. Alright, when you see a problem sums like that, right? Of course, sometimes you get a bit, what do you call that? Frightened, right? But actually, the more you need to do, right, it means that the easier it will be. Seriously, because it means it give you kind of a lot more information. If it's just a one line kind of thing, right, then you have to get worried because you have to find a lot more on your own. Okay, let's look at part 1. Before we look at part 1, that's you need to understand the problem, right? Mr. Poya says that we need to understand the problem. So you're given the triangle ABC, all right, and then with all the vertices, the coordinates of all the vertices given, Oh, this is quite a weird looking triangle because it's slanted to one side. It's actually obtuse triangle because this angle is obtuse. Obtuse angle means it's more than 90, less than 180. Asked to find the area of triangle ABC. Okay, right. I don't know whether you remember doing that. What we're going to do is, basically, I'm not going to do things like that lah. I'm not going to use base AC. If you're going to use base AC, then I have to use this height right, which I do not know. And I can't find because I don't know this point here, right? So I'm not going to use base AC. I'm also not going to use base BC, right? Because then how to find the perpendicular height? Oh, you can actually, but then you need to prolong it longer. Then that will be a perpendicular height, right? Which again is not useful because I don't know this particular point here, right? And I also don't know this height. Okay, so the only thing left is to extend this length AB, draw it longer. I think you can't see. I need to use a different color. Up to here. Oh, I think I should use dotted line. Oh no, this one is solid line. Here to here is dotted line because this is not the actual length. Not actual length, use dotted line. Okay? And then from point C, drop a vertical line. This will be 90. Okay, so the area of triangle ABC would just be half times AB times this perpendicular height. Call it H. So that will be just half times AB is the horizontal line. So the horizontal distance will just be that, which is 2 plus 1, 3 units, times your vertical height. Vertical height will be just 4 units here, minus away 1 unit, so 3 units. And that gives you 4.5 units square. Okay, that's how we do part 1. Okay, part 2, you asked to find the length of AC, giving your answer correct to 2 decimal places. Okay. So we have point A and point C. So we can just label your point A as x1, y1. Point B, point C. Label it as x2, y2. Okay, so we are asked to find the distance AC. Write down the formula. So x2 it's 3 minus, okay, be careful with that because there's a minus here. So it's 3 minus minus, then square it, plus 4 minus 1 squared. Okay, we can use a calculator to work this out. So that will be square root first, then bracket, then 3 minus, then bracket again, minus 2, close, close. Then square it, plus open bracket again, 4 minus 1, close bracket, square it, then square root it. Express the 2 decimal places. Alright, so that's how you find part 2. Okay, given that the ABCD is a parallelogram, find the coordinates of D. Alright, I'm just going to erase all this. Otherwise, it will be quite messy. Okay, so when they say ABCD, make sure that the order, you have to follow the order, meaning point B must come after A, C must come after B, D must come after C. So we started with A, and then go on to B, C. Right, so to get the parallelogram, what's the property of a parallelogram? Parallelogram means opposite sides are parallel and have the same distance. Okay, so in other words, the distance between CD, the distance between CD will have to be the same as the distance between AB. And AB just now we calculated to be 3 units. So therefore, the distance between CD has to be 3 units. Okay, and it has to be parallel. So that means my CD must also be a horizontal line. So you just count 3 units. Oh, just here. That is your D. So this is how your parallelogram looks like. Okay, you followed the order. So A first, B, C, then D. So therefore, part 3. Alright, so the coordinates of D will be 0, 4. Okay? Right, so that's part 3. Okay, let's look at part 4. I hope I have enough space to do part 4. Given that K is a point T, 4 and the area of triangle BCK is 12 units squared, find the possible values of T. Okay, let's erase off whatever we have here. Otherwise, again, it's very confusing. Okay, so basically your point, so what we are saying is that your point K must lie on the line y equals to 4. Why is that so? Because your y coordinate is 4. Your y coordinates of your point K is 4. Right, so your point K will lie on the line y equals to 4. So let's draw a line y equals to 4. Right, so what we are saying is your point K will be anywhere here, where the y coordinate is 4, but we don't know about the x coordinate, where they call it T here. And the area of triangle BCK is 12 units. So supposing your point K is here. Right, so if you're going to join the triangle up, it means that you have a triangle like this. Okay, and this particular triangle has area 12 units square. Okay, right, so basically your CK will form the base of the triangle. Okay, your CK will form the base of the triangle. So the distance of CK will be T minus 3. The distance of CK will be T minus 3. If, okay, wait. There are 2 possible positions of your T. Your T can be here. That's one position, right? But we can look at it the other way around, as you can draw the triangle this way. So it's possible to also have your point K here. We call it K2. This guy is K1. K1 means first position. Because just now we said that the point K can lie anywhere on the line y equals to 4. Why y equals to 4? Because the y coordinate is 4. So it can lie anywhere on the line y equals to 4. That means it can lie on the left hand side or can lie on the right hand side, right? So we're going to look at K1 first. So if it's lie on the right hand side, then the distance of CK1 will just be T minus 3. Okay, and so therefore, and then your vertical distance will be here. This will be your vertical distance. This vertical distance is the same for both triangle, which come out to be 1, 2, 3 units. So your vertical distance or your height, we call it height, we label it using the letter H. So H is the same, 3 units is the same for both cases. So we're going to do case number 1 now. So that will be half times bracket t minus 3 times 3. That gives us 12. So half times 3 is 1.5. 12 divided by 1.5 gives you 8. So t will be 11. So therefore, your first possible values of k will be 11, 4. Okay, let's look at the second possible case. Second possible case is your k is at the other side. So the distance of ck, this distance here, right, will be here 3 units. That will be 3u plus here, which is your t units. So in this case here, your distance ck2 your distance ck2 will be 3 plus k. 3 plus t. Okay, formula is still the same. Half times 3 plus t times vertical height is the same for both cases, which is 3, 12. 3 plus t will be 12 divided by 1.5. That gives us 8. 12 divided by 8. So t will be 8 minus 3. That gives you 5. So therefore, your second possible position will be 5, 4. Right, so this is quite a tricky part. If you don't quite get it, you have to watch through a few times. Alright, so we found the answer for 6 part 4, and we found it to be k bracket 5, 4, because we found the values of t to be 5, right? And then I conclude by saying that therefore the coordinates of k2 will have to be 5, 4. Right, but this is not the answer. If I give this as the answer, I'll be marked wrong. Did I do it on purpose? Yes, because sometimes we will make this sort of mistakes where we get the answer ready and then we just quickly write it down without going back to look at the diagram again. Because if you look at the diagram, do you see that your K2 is on the left side? So if your K2 is on the left side, so y-axis, that means the x coordinates of K2 has to be a negative value, right? Therefore, how do we correct this mistake? Therefore, what should be the correct x coordinate for K2? Yes, so K2 should be negative 5, 4 and not 5. Right, so back to this question. So I've managed to find the values of K, the coordinates, the two different positions, right? I found K1 to be 11, 4, and I found K2 to be negative 5, 4. But have I answered to the question asked? So have I answered to the question asked? Okay, so let's go back to the question. The question says, find the possible values of t. Right, so I have not answered to the question asked. I'm basically just writing down the coordinates of different positions of k. So to answer to the question asked, I should present it in this way. Therefore, t can be negative 5 or 11. Okay, so I'm going through all this on purpose to show you that sometimes when I mark some scripts, right, some of the students, you did not answer to the question asked, and therefore you actually miss the final points, the final marks. Okay, for all the hard work you have done, you just miss out the final marks that you deserve to get. So the important thing here is to read the questions again and then answer to the question asked. Alright, let's look at question 7. Question 7 is similar in nature to the earlier questions. Basically, for part 1, you just asked to find the length of AB, BC, and AC. part 2, find the area of triangle ABC, and part 3, just to find the possible values of K. Right, so let's look at part 1. So for part 1, the easiest length to find will be your vertical length AB. Right, so basically for AB, there's no need to use the distance formula. You will just be 1 units here. Here to here is 1 unit. And here to here will be 2 units. So basically the distance, the length for AB is just 3 units. Alright, so to find the length of BC, then you would have to resort to using the distance formula. Right, so we're going to label, write down the coordinates for point B first. X coordinate is -1, Y coordinate is -2. And then for point C, X coordinate is 3, Y coordinate is -1. And you're just going to label the point as x1, y1, and this as x2, y2. And then just going to substitute into the formula. So AB, just write down the formula. It will be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So x2 will be 3 minus bracket -1, close, make sure you be careful with the brackets. Okay, there should be 2 brackets there because of the negative sign. Y2, it's -1 minus bracket again, -2, close, squared. And then you can just use a calculator to work this out. And approximate it to 3 significant figure, that will be 4.12 units. Alright, let's look at how we can find AC. Alright, because I've already labeled point C as x2, y2, so I'm just going to label point A as x1, y1. Alright, so let's find AC. So that will be x2, which is 3 minus x1, which is, okay, write down the coordinates of point A, that its x coordinate is -1, y coordinate is 1. So that will be 3 minus bracket -1 squared. AC, is it? 3 minus, yeah. Then plus the y coordinate will be -1 minus 1 squared. .47. You will get 4.47 units. Alright, so this is how you can find part I, which is relatively straightforward. Let's look at part 2. So for part 2, you asked to find the area of triangle ABC. Alright, so in this case here, I'm going to use AB as my base because it's easier to use AB as a base. So if AB is my base, then my perpendicular height will be this horizontal distance here. And this horizontal distance will be just 1u here plus 3u. That gives you 4u. So area of triangle ABC will just be half times the base, which it's AB, times, I'm going to call the perpendicular distance h. That will be half AB. We have found it to be 3 units earlier on, and then we found h to be 4u. So that will give us 6 units square. Alright, let's look at part 3. Alright, so to do part 3, I'm just going to erase, make the diagram looks neater. So I'm just going to erase all this. Okay, so for part 3, what happened is that you are given a third point, and this third point has x coordinate 3, but we do not know where the point is. Right, but we know x coordinate has to be 3. In other words, the point E will lie on the line x equals to 3, meaning Okay, I will try to draw the best vertical line. Okay, because I cannot use the ruler to touch the screen. Basically, just the stylus pen, the tip of the stylus pen can touch the screen. Anything else cannot. It will not move at all. That is the flaw of this. Alright, so that's x equals to 3. So basically your point E can lie anywhere here. So it can be here, it can be here. We don't know where it is, right? So I'm just going to call this point E1, first position, 3, K1. And it can also lie up here above the x-axis. Okay, so I'm going to call it E2, 3, K2. So there are two possible positions for the point E. It can be E1 or E2, right? Because, okay, if there's E1, I'm going to show you how it is possible to be there. You can just, can you see you can form a triangle like that? Right. I think I should use a different color that you can see. Shouldn't I use? Well, how about I use black color? Oh, okay. Yellow also, alright. Can you see? Right. So it's possible for your E1 to be there. So if my E1 is there, then can you see that your CE1 will be the base? Alright. So I'm going to find this point first. Okay. Use a thinner one. I'm just going to find E1 first. Alright. So which is what we've mentioned. So your E1C will be your base of CE1. Okay. Put CE1. So the base will be this part here, right? So it will be K1 minus here, which is 1 unit. Okay? And then the horizontal, the vertical height will be from here to here. That will be your vertical distance, right? So I'm going to call it H. So H will be how many units? 1, 2, 3 plus 1, 4 units. So the area will be half times 4 times K1 minus 1 equals to the area given to be 14 units here. So from there, you can solve K1 minus 1 to be 14 divided by 2, that's 7. So K1 is equals to 8. Alright, but if you look at it again, your point E1 is below the x-axis. So therefore, your K1 cannot be equals to 8, right? It has to be negative 8, right? So therefore, one possible position for K will be negative 8. One possible values for K, will be negative 8 because your point E1 lies below the x-axis. Below the x-axis, all your y coordinates is negative. Alright, now let's go on to find E2. So to find E2, your base will be CE2. And the base will be, okay, it's too many things. Can I just erase some of it? The base will be from here to here. Alright, which is K2 plus 1. Because K2 is from here to here, this is K2. K2 is from here to here. And then add to this 1 unit here. So it's K2 plus 1. And then the height is the same, 4 units. Vertical height, which is the horizontal distance, is 4 units the same. So therefore, half times 4 times bracket K2 plus 1 will give you 14. K2 plus 1 will be 14 divided by 2, 7. K2 will be 6. And it's possible for K2 to be 6 because your point E2 is above the x-axis. Above the x-axis, all your y coordinate is positive. So therefore, the other possible values for K will be 6. So there are two possible values for K. It can be 6 or negative 8. Right, first of all, I really like to congratulate you on your perseverance. You have actually stayed with me throughout for the past few questions till question 11. I really want to congratulate you, okay? you have great perseverance, right? So since we have stayed until question 11, up to question 11, okay, then continue to stay on. We're going to accomplish these missions very fast. All right, so for question 11, although it's supposed to be advanced question, it's actually nothing advanced about it. When I say that, it's because we have actually done similar questions. We have done similar questions where the diagrams is given to us. You see, in this case here, the diagram is not given. So therefore, it's advanced in the sense that we need to draw the diagram ourselves. But that's not very difficult, right? Yes, that's not difficult. So that's get on to our task. So we're going to draw our own diagram. All right, so we have 3 points there, point P, Q, and R. So point P is 1, 3, so positive X, positive Y. So roughly lah. You don't need to be very accurate, but it cannot also be too inaccurate. Q is 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. And point R is 5, 15. Oh, okay. So I need to draw this line longer. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, not draw longer, sorry. I need to draw the Y longer, not the X longer. Hello. It's okay, never mind. Ayo, so how am I going to draw this line longer? Never mind. You just need to extend it all the way up. Doesn't matter. All the way up. Yeah. Okay, so it has the same X coordinates of Q. Alright, so basically it's just a vertical line like that. Okay, and then your R is somewhere here, where the X coordinate is 5, same X point Q, and then it's 15. So QR is actually a vertical line. So if you join it up, voila! Can you see your triangle PQR? Not bad, we've done it quite well. Okay, sorry, I have a little bit of it's even worse. I was trying to make it straighter and then now, okay, that's better. All right, so if you're going to look, find the length of the perpendicular from Q to PR, So basically, we're just going to find this distance. Okay, this distance. We're going to call it H. Right, so if you try to recall the earlier questions we've done, right, how do we actually manage to find perpendicular distance? Can you, or you can go back to the, I can't go back. Okay, once I go back means I need to start over again. I need to start recording. Oh, and I have spent like almost like don't know how many donkey hours on this exercise. Okay, so you need to think and tell me. Let me see whether I can read your mind. Yes, we use area. We go on to find the areas of PQR, right? So how do we find areas of PQR without having to use H? Now bear in mind that the QR is a vertical line, right? Yes, it's a vertical line. So what do? We can actually extend it longer. Yes, let's do it. Extend it longer. Doing down. Extend. Draw another line. And do you see what I see? Yes, we can actually find area of triangle PQR using the base as QR, and the height will be this guy here. This one will be my height. Okay, which is my horizontal distance. And from there, you can actually calculate how many units are there. At this particular point here, we're just going to call it what letters do you want to use? P, Q, R, X, is it? Okay, X. This particular point will have X coordinates 5 and Y coordinates 3. Okay, so this distance here will be just, yeah, correct. This distance here will be just 5 minus 1. 4 units. Alright, so that will be half times QR times 4. And our QR is how many units? QR is 15 minus 4. Here to here. That gives us 11 units. So half times 11 times 4. And that gives you 22 units square. Alright. Okay, so this is how we find area of triangle PQR using RQ as the base. Alright, so right now, I'm going to use PR as a base because I need to find that height, the perpendicular height as requested in the question. Very mean at this question, asked us to do so difficult one. So we have to use base PR now. Okay, so how do we find PR? It's not difficult, right? So PR is not difficult to be found. Just use the distance formula. So remember what we have done, just label the point x2, y2, x1, y1, sub in. Write down the formula, which is x2 minus x1 squared x2 is 1 minus 1 minus 1, x2 is 5 lah. I'm getting crazy already. X2 is 5. 5 minus 1 squared plus y2, 15 minus 3 squared. That reminds me of one student who told me her brain cells are all dead after attending my lesson because used too much of it. Okay, so that will give me, I'm just going to leave it as, because I'm not too sure if I will get a perfect answer, right? Perfect answer meaning a whole number, so I'm just leave it as in radical form. So I'm just going to use a calculator to work this out. I do not know, so I just be careful only. Because who knows, I may get an exact answer. Oh no, I don't think so. Square root 160. Okay, never mind. Right. So if PR is my base now, then my height will be the one that I've labeled on the diagram. We'll call it H. So therefore, half times square root 160. Okay, wait. Let me write down proper statement. It's always good to write down proper statement. That is the beauty of my video. I always write down every steps for you. Half times PR times H will gives you the area of the triangle, which I found earlier on to be 22. So half times PR, which is square root 160 times height gives you 22. So height will be just 22 divided by half times square root 160. And you can just use a calculator to work that out. And that come up to be 3.48 units. Yes, okay. Right, and then you can follow up using a proper statement. Therefore, perpendicular length. I think no, you can just do it this way, okay? Because I know some students don't like to write so many sentences. So once you find H, you can just say perpendicular distance. Perpendicular length, because they use length in the question. So perpendicular length equals to H equals to this answer. All right, so we have actually finished doing all the questions from exercise 4.1. And if you really stay with me throughout, right, I really want to salute you on your perseverance, okay? And perseverance is so important in life. All right, thank you very much.